Striker Scorpion 82 is now sponsored by Warhammer Combat Cards, a card battle game featuring your favourite Citadel miniatures from the 40k universe. Free to download and play, link is in the video description below or on the channel homepage, and by using the unique link it helps support the channel. Thanks and enjoy the game. Right, welcome to this Codex review. It's for the new Adeptus Custodes Codex that Games Workshop are very kindly sent through, so big thank you to them for doing that. For discount 40k, the channel sponsor here is Goblin Gaming. There is a link in the video description below, and they do 40k, Age of Sigmar, other gaming systems, hobby accessories and paints and so on, all at a discounted rate. So you can check them out, and if you do use the unique link in the video description below, then it does help support the channel in a small way, so it's much appreciated. So there's two reviews. There should also be a review live for Genius to the Cults, so that one should be live. These are 4 reviews that I do here, so we flick through the artwork at the start and then we get stuck into the rules and go through all the stratagems and so on, and I come at it from the angle of if I was going to collect the art, what units would I choose, and then take a look at the new rules, what units are better or worse and so on, combinations, war gear upgrades and so on. So it'll be a full review here in this video as we consider the Adeptus Custodes. So they are the finest that the Emperor has to offer. It's a very elite army, perhaps smaller in number, but we're expecting sort of hyper elite. Heavy infantry is the main theme for these. So new artwork on the front, same with the Genius to the Cults Codex as well. So I'm a big fan of the effort and the work and the layout of the new codexes, just the treatment of the artwork, the layout of them, the quality of them, fantastic. Rules wise, getting a bit on the, let's say complicated, but it's more like multiple layers of rules increasingly with the codexes, so I hope Games Workshop just don't push it any further. It'd be difficult for new players to get in, or if you're learning a new faction, you've already got other factions running, and it can overload you a bit too much with so many factions to know the rules for. Warzone Terror, just talking about here. Beautiful piece of artwork here, taking on the Orcs. The Talons of the Emperor, as they're also known as. Here's their weaponry: the Interceptor Lance, the Ballistus Grenade Launcher, the Watcher's Axe, and so on. Yeah, that's they are taking on the Genius to the Cults. Interesting combination for a game. These cult members being purged by the Talons of the Emperor. Trajan Valoris, talking about some of the characters. A host of heroes. Custodes deployments, just the structure of them. And then the different, what would you call them? Orders, or Shadow Keepers? There's different types there. The Quillen Shield, the Gilded Guardians, the Dread Host, the Solar Watch. So Tom has an army of these here. They've featured a fair bit now. It's good to see them fully represented on the channel. Silent Vigils, and then your usual heavy metal models painted up here to the usual fantastic standard, beautiful work, and their golden glinting armour. Now interesting, some of the alternate colour schemes. Custodian Warden here painted up in like a black and white armour, so there's different colours you can go for. It's them fighting away in the snow. It's the Alaris Terminators, solid as a rock. Taking on the Eldar. Do you get a bookmark in every codex? A ribbon? I can't remember. I'll put it in that one. Okay, and then there's your Valerian and the Layer. Tom's used those in games as well. And again, there's that darker colour scheme. Games Workshop, I think, have painted up a whole different colour scheme here, or perhaps it's someone else's collection maybe. There they are fighting away. They don't fill out the table too much. Even here, they're quite spread out, so you can expect to be outnumbered pretty much every time, unless you're fighting against Chaos Knights. We're on to the rules here. So we'll get stuck into the rules, talk about combat control, and then we're on to detachment abilities. So what we're looking for here is, you know, your army's going to be elite, it's going to be expensive in points, you have to expect those things. So you want to get good value out of your models, so tons of attacks, deadly shooting, nice durability is what we're looking for. And you're trying to, it's a bit of a challenge with Adeptus Custodes. 9th edition, you've got to spread out, grab objectives and so on. So you're going to need units that can fend for themselves, send them out and do a mission. You're going to need some speed in the army as well, so like the bikers are going to, I think, be important units. And you are going to need some kind of firepower and so on. So they are a challenge for sure. But they're as solid as a rock as far as an army is concerned. So durability is on their side, but they need to pack a mean punch, otherwise they'll just get ground down by the opponent. So there's a number of things you're looking to improve. The durability, I think, is one. Flexibility is the other one for manoeuvring around, and then packing a mean punch for, I suppose, close combat primarily. If you're collecting Adeptus Custodes, leave your own comments as to what you think of the new codex and the different entries coming across here. So Adeptus Custodes detachments only includes models from the Adeptus Custodes keyword. The detachments gain the Emperor's Legion, host of heroes and watchers, just talking about what you get here. Yeah, we'll just keep going here because there's bits. Adeptus Custodes with an Adeptus Custodes detachments gain the Shield Host Fighting Style ability. Adeptus Custodes infantry units and Anathema Psychonaut troops units in Custodes detachments gain the objectives secured. And then each Adeptus Custodes model counts as one additional model when determining control of an objective marker. This is cumulative of any other rules that makes them count as additional models. So that is good news. A little bit that's easily missed there, but good news. So key little rule, that one, but very, very helpful during the game. Anathema Psychana detachment is only models with the Anathema Psychana keyword. The troops in those attachments gain the objective secured, so they get that as well. So Emperor's Legion, you can't include more Anathema Psychana troops units than you do Adeptus Custodes. There's a bit of structure stuff going on here. You cannot include more Anathema Psychana HQ units than Adeptus Custodes HQ units. And you cannot select Anathema Psychana model as your Warlord. And you've got host of heroes. You can include a maximum of one of each type of shield captain. So limiting the shield captains, you can't do the triple shield captain, so i.e. a Guardian, Alaris and Virtus. So you can do one of each though, unit in each Adeptus Custodes detachment. Then Watchers of the Throne. For the purposes of the Lookout Sir rule, each Adeptus Custodes infantry and Adeptus Custodes biker model counts as two models for friendly Adeptus Custodes character models of the same shield host. So that means, if I get this right, you could do two models would count as 4, which would then be a shielding unit, something like that, I believe. So that's another good rule that's been added in. And then shield host fighting style. Each shield host has its own way of waging war, suited to its particular combat traits. All the Adeptus Custodes units with this ability, all the models in them gain a shield host fighting style. So it's like your chapter rules at Ultramarines and Imperial Fists, whatever. So you're going to get that. So we're going to move on to that next. So which type to choose from? With the Genius of the Cults, these extra rules were actually pretty strong, pretty good. We'll see if it's the same with Adeptus Custodes. So, shield host fighting style. So gain a fighting style, each includes 2 traits. The fighting style they gain depends on which shield host they are assigned to. Each fighting style also specifies a martial kata. Once per battle, when you select one of that kata's stances to be active for your army, you can use this ability. If you do so, that kata's other stance also becomes active for your army. That other kata stance does not count as being selected as the active kata stance, meaning you are not prevented from selecting it in subsequent command phase, providing you haven't already done so. You're able to use this ability even if you selected that kata stance to be active in your previous command phase. So then you've got your Warlord Traits, Stratagems, and Relics. You look to that shield host. So, first one is the Emperor's Chosen. So, shield host fighting style then, 2 of the Magna Imperator is the first one. So the first trait, each time a unit this trait is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, and resolving that unit's attacks. So useful for smaller units. And then trait 2, each time all on this unit with this trait would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, roll 1d6 and a 4+, the wound is not lost. 4+, feel no pain against mortal wounds, would be very, very useful if you're against a psycho heavy army perhaps. And then you get your unique so you have your Katars here, Martial Katars, so it's Rendax is this one. Yeah, it's the details about the Katars are here. Looks like there's 6 of them on page 89, so we'll come to that a bit later on, but each of the different shield hosts gets a different one. So it's Rendax for these. Yeah, well maybe we'll do this at the same time. I think it makes sense to do it at the same time here. So we'll cover Katars and then we'll flick back to these for each of the shield hosts. If every unit from your army has Adeptus Custodes keyword, it's excluding Anathema, Psychonaut, and Agent of the Imperium and underlined units, and every unit that is assigned to a shield host is assigned to the same shield host, this unit can use this ability and the following rules apply. So after both sides have deployed, before you've determined who will have the first turn, you must select primary, secondary, and tertiary martial Katar from the list opposite for your army to use in the battle. Note this down secretly on your army roster. In each of your command phases, so long as one is available, you can select 1 Katar stance to become active for your army. Each time you do so, units from your army with this ability benefit from it until the start of your next command phase. When selecting a Katar stance to become active, the following rules apply. So you can't select one of them more than once, fair enough. You must select a primary Katar stance first. You cannot select a tertiary Katar stance until you have selected a secondary Katar stance. Once you've selected a stance of a different martial Katar, you cannot select a stance of a previous martial Katar. Okay, so fair enough, so you've got to work your way through primary, secondary, and then tertiary. So there's 3. So I'll give you an example. Yeah. That's just an example being given. So we'll flick back to each of these. So I think it means you have to take you have to take the one that's mentioned here. So you have to take Rendax here, and then you'll pick 2 others. I think that's the way it works. So the wording of it is a little bit complicated the way it works here. You've got your 2. See, this is what I'm trying to avoid. But you'll figure it out, I'm sure. But it's talking about 2 fighting styles, 2 traits which are labelled here. Trait 1, trait 2. And I guess both of those are active constantly, I believe. And it also talks about the fighting style specifies martial Katar. So then this one here, Rendax. So that's the one you take for them. Then across here it also talks about before both sides are deployed, but before you have determined who will have the first turn, you must select primary, secondary, and tertiary martial Katar from the list opposite for army 2. So you're going to pick 3 from here. You also get 1 from there, and then I think the way it's worded is it's back here. So it's a little bit to get your head around this one. You can choose to use the extra one here at any point, and it won't cancel out the other 3 that you have, if you catch what I mean. But well, if you're a Custodians player, you can figure it out when you get the book exactly how it works. A little bit of mind bending to get your head around the way it works there. But what I do, I think, is more important is just to call out what each of these powers does. So Rendax here, it's a stance 1 stance. There's 2 stances to it as well. Oh dear, right, so what does this mean? here we go. Let's go to the example that they give, because I'm still trying to get my head around this. So example, every model in Emily's army has Adeptus Custodes keyword. Fine. She selects Rendax as her primary Qatar, Dakatari as her secondary Qatar, and Callistus as her tertiary Qatar. In her first command phase, she selects Rendax stance 2 to be active. Right, okay, so then so you go to Rendax, you pick one of the stances to be active. You can't do both, pretty much. Okay, right. And then so then it says to be active. So in a second command phase, she can select Rendax stance 1 to be active. Oh, so you can keep it running for 2. Or she can instead select Dakatari stance 1 or 2. Oh dear me, they make this complicated. As she has previously selected a primary Qatar stance, she cannot select a Callistus stance, as she must select a secondary Qatar stance. You're joking, this is ridiculous stance before she can select a tertiary Qatar stance. She selects Dakatari stance 1 to be active. In her third command phase, she can select Dakatari stance 2 to be active, or she can instead select Callistus stance 1 or 2 to be active. As she has previously selected a secondary Qatar stance, she cannot select Rendax stance 1, as she cannot select a stance of a previous Qatar. She selects Callistus stance 2 to be active. In her fourth command phase, she must select Callistus stance 1 to be active, as it is the only remaining stance that she is able to select. Note that this means that the fifth command phase there would be no Qatar stance available for her, so she does not select one. Well, that makes perfect sense. And that, I don't know, okay, moving on. Just see what you think. Let me know in the comment section. Am I overreacting to that? But I think it's just too complicated. Why do that? Keep it simple. You know, run it like Drakari. Turn 1 you get this, turn 2 you get that, and run it that way. But yeah, I'm sure people get their head around it, no problem. But just the initial impression of that is it's too complicated, which is a shame. But that's my view on it. Just there. We'll move on. I don't want to get bogged down with the complexity of the Shield Host Fighting Star. What a mind bender. And you're going to have to explain that to your opponent as well when you play games. So Esteemed Amalgam here, this is a CP. So use this stratagem in your command phase, select one Emperor's Chosen unit from your army, then select one other Shield Host Fighting Star. Until the start of your next command phase, models in that unit have the traits of that Shield Host Fighting Star instead of the traits of the Magna Imperator Fighting Star. Okay, so then there's Warlord Traits, stratagems that manipulate that as well, adding to the complexity. Warlord Trait, Auric Exemplar. Each time this Warlord fights, after resolving all of its attacks, it can make a number of additional attacks equal to the number of enemy models destroyed as a result of its attacks during that fight, to a maximum addition of 4 attacks. Nice, you're hacking stuff down, you're getting more attacks, which is great. And the relic here is the Paragon Spear. It's Emperor's Chosen model equipped with a Guardian Spear. You instead get, for shooting, range 24, rapid fire 1, strength 5, -1, and 2 damage. And then in melee, it's +3 strength, -5, and 2 damage. Sounds alright, not too scary. Next, moving on to the next shield host, which is Shadow Keepers. So 2 traits here. Trait number 1. One enemy unit is within engagement range of a unit of this trait. Subtract 1 for the attacks characteristic of each model in that unit. It's pretty powerful, just shutting down their attacks, which will add to your durability. Then trait 2. Each time model in this unit with this trait makes an attack against a character unit, you can reroll the wound roll, and that's very, very powerful as well against characters. Nice. The martial Qatar is Captaris. So stance 1, each time a melee attack is made against this unit, the hit roll cannot be re-rolled. Well, that's really good. So really shutting down what the opponent can do to you for these. And then stance 2, each time an enemy unit, excluding a vehicle or monster unit that is within engagement range of any infantry units from your army with this ability is selected to fall back, roll off with your opponent, adding 1 to the opponent's roll if the unit can fly. If you win, the enemy unit cannot fall back, so you can pin them down as well. You can bog them down in close combat, make it difficult for them to cause damage against you. So, interesting, the Shadow Keepers. Grim Responsibility, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in any phase when a Shadow Keeper's unit from your army, excluding vehicles, is selected as the target of an attack. At the end of that phase, each time an attack is made against that unit, subtract 1 from the strength characteristic of that attack. which could prove quite useful. And then Warlord Trait, Lock Warden. Each time an attack is made by this Warlord is allocated to a character unit, an invulnerable save and throw cannot be made against that attack. We're increasingly seeing this in 40k, negating invuns. Okay. So they're cranking up the dial a little bit on making stuff more deadly. If that's the case, then it will mean stuff dies quicker and games will move quicker because there's less stuff on the board. So we're seeing a bit more cutthroat, which is a shame for the older codexes, but the new codexes coming out just seeing a bit more meanness with them, particularly thinking of the Tower, for example, with their hammerhead railgun. Stasis Oubliette is a relic here, Shadowkeeper's model only. At the start of the fight phase, select one enemy unit within engagement range of the bearer. That unit is not eligible to fight this phase until after all. Actually, just shutting them down and forcing them to fight last. Very, very useful. Very, very useful. So some great bonuses going on with these for durability. Really frustrating the opponent's ability to attack you. Shadowkeeper's pretty good. Next is the Dread Host. So, trait number 1, each time a model in this unit with this trait makes an attack that targets an enemy unit within 9 inches of it, the arm penetration characteristic of that attack is improved by 1, so next stroke of -1. Nice. Then you can reroll charge rolls as well for the unit. Fantastic. Dakatare is the guitar. So that is stance 1. Each time an enemy unit piles in or consolidates, if it starts that move within engagement range of this unit, subtract 2 from distance models the enemy unit can move for that piling or consolidation move, so it's bogging them down. Or stance 2, each time this unit fights, it can use this ability. If it does so, until the fight is resolved, add 1 to attacks characteristic of models in this unit and change the damage characteristic of melee weapons they're equipped with to 1. Okay. Then Golden Light of the Moirades for 2 CP for the stratagem. Use the stratagem in your movement phase with a Dread Host unit from your army set up on the battlefield using the From Golden Light ability to the start of the next turn. Each time an attack is made against that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll, and each time that unit declares a charge, enemy units that were targeted by that charge cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend against that charge. So you're stopping Overwatch, which is great. So the Warlord Trait, All-Seeing Annihilator. In your command phase, select this Warlord or 1 friendly Dread Host core unit within 6 inches of this Warlord until the start of your next command phase. Each time model in that unit makes an attack, a modified hit roll of 6 scores an additional hits. 6 is popping extra hits. The Admon Immortis relic replaces the Castellan Axe. So for shooting, range 24, rapid fire 1, strength 5, -1, 2 damage. And then in close combat, it's +3 strength, 8 -3, and 3 damage. Which is quite tasty. Next is Aquilon's Shield. So trait 1 is core units of this trait are eligible to form heroic interventions as if they were characters. And number 2, each time an attack with an arm penetration characteristic of -1 is allocated to model of this trait, and it's treated as 0 instead. Salvus is the guitar, which is stance 1, add 4 inches to range characteristic of ranged weapons model this unit are equipped with. So your spears like range 28, for example. And then stance 2, if this unit is infantry and does not advance in your movement phase in the following shooting phase, if it's not within engaged range of any enemy units, models this unit can shoot twice with auric weapons that they're equipped with. Okay. Shield of Honor, 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase. When an enemy unit is selected to shoot with, select 1 Imperium infantry character unit from your army to the end of the phase, whilst that unit from your army is within 6 inches of a friendly Aquilon's Shield core unit. Enemy units cannot target that Imperium infantry character unit with ranged weapons. So, ability to protect. Warlord Trait is Revered Champion, or Companion, sorry. Each time an attack is allocated to this Warlord, halve the damage characteristic of that attack, rounding up. So damage 3 would be damage 2, for example, I believe. Praestius. Aquilon's Shield, model equipped with a Praestium shield only. Each time an attack is made against the bearer, subtract 1 from the attack's wind roll. Not bad. I like the Shadowkeepers, I think, so far. Just like the stuff that's going on with them. The Solar Watch next. So trait number 1, add 1 to advance and charge rolls made for units of this trait. Handy if you're deep striking in. If a unit of this trait has the Implacable Vanguard ability and 7 inches. Add 7 inches to move characteristic models in this trait instead of 6. And units of this trait are eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which they fell back. Nice. So fall back and charge. Tactically useful, especially for a smaller army, perhaps with less units. So it's pretty good. The equals strike for 1 CP. Use this stratagem in any phase when an enemy warlord is destroyed by a Solar Watch unit from your army. To the end of the battle, each time a combat attrition test is taken from an enemy unit, subtract 1 from the combat attrition test. So if you can get the warlord, it could cause morale issues to some degree. It's not too scary. So next, the Warlord Traits Sally Forth. At the start of your charge phase, select one friendly Solar Watch infantry unit within 6 inches of the warlord. Until the end of that phase, that unit is eligible to charge in a turn in which it advanced. And that's very useful. Very useful. Swift Silver Talon Relic. So it replaces the Guardian Spear. The bearer can shoot and charge in a turn in which it fell back. It's a nice ability built in with that one. And then it's the shooting is range 24, rapid fire 1, strength 4, -2 and 2 damage. And the Talon is +2 strength, -4 and 2 damage. It's pretty good. Traits, Warlord Traits and Relics with them. Emissaries Imperatus. Next. Trait number 1. At the start of the fight phase, if unit of this trait is within engagement range of enemy units, it can fight first. And number 2. Each time model this unit with this trait makes attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers to the hit roll and wound roll. Into the Darkness for 2 or 3 CP. So use this stratagem at the start of the first battle round before the first turn begins. Select one Imperator's core unit from your army. The unit can make a normal move as if it were your movement phase, but must end that move more than 9 inches away from enemy models. If both players have units that can move before the first turn begins, the player who's taking the first turn moves their units first. If that unit contains 4 or more models, it costs 3 CP, otherwise it's 2 CP. And you can only use the stratagem once. Expensive. Warlord Trait, Voice of the Emperor here. Add 3 inches to the range of this warlord's aura abilities to a maximum of 12. And then this warlord has the following ability: Voice of the Emperor aura, whilst a friendly Adeptus Custodes or Psychonaut unit is within 9 inches of this model, add 1 to the leadership characteristic. Yeah. And then the relic, Halo of the Torchbearer. The bearer has the following ability: Halo of the Torchbearer aura, whilst a friendly Imperatus unit is within 3 inches of this model, it can ignore any or all modifiers to its move characteristic, advance rolls and charge rolls. And then at the start of the fight phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 3 inches of this model. On a 3+, the enemy unit suffers a mortal wound, or d3 mortal wounds if the unit's leadership characteristic is 7 or less. Okay, and that's it. Oh, so no customizing going on here. Can't customize your own. You've got to go for some of these. I guess that's correct because the Custodians are quite limited on structure and numbers, and so you can't really go around. It's not like a Genestealer cult where you can make up anything you want. You've got to stick with an official structure. So on to stratagems. Do they get? They do. They get 4 pages for the stratagems. Okay. So Arcane Genetic Alchemy, 1 or 2 CP. Use this stratagem in any phase when Adeptus Custodes unit from your army, excluding vehicle units, is selected as the target of an attack. Until the end of that phase, each time an attack is made against that unit, it's 1 to 3 always fails. So, yeah. And then if it's 3 or fewer models, it's 1 CP. Otherwise, it's 2 CP. So similar to the Space Marines. Sweeping Advance. Yeah, I'm seeing that. Saw it with the Genestealer cults. A lot of stratagems are just a new title, but the rules are just matching what other factions get. Like that one just gets straight from the Space Marine Codex. Sweeping Advance. Use your stratagem in the fight phase when Adeptus Custodes bike unit from your army consolidates. To the end of that phase, each time model that unit makes a consolidation move, it moves an additional 3. So it's like just another common. That kind of thing's seen already. 1 CP. A Presidium Shield Wall. Use a stratagem in the fight phase when a Custodian Guard unit from your army is selected as the target of a melee attack, and every model in that unit is equipped with a shield, a Presidium Shield. Until the end of the phase, each time a melee attack is made against the unit, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So a very cool idea. Forming a shield wall, very cool. Death Mark 1 CP. At the start of the first battle round before the turn begins, select one enemy unit to the end of the battle. Each time a model in a Vigilators unit from our makes an attack, you can reroll your hit rolls. And then Avenge the Fallen for 1 CP. Use a stratagem in the fight phase and Adeptus Custodes unit from your army selected to fight until the end of the phase. If that unit is below starting strength but not below half strength, add 1 to the attack's characteristic models in that unit. And if that unit is below half strength, add 2 to the attack's characteristic models in that unit. If you're taking damage, actually, you can boost them up a bit, which is quite cool. Slayers of Nightmares for 1 or 2 CP. Use a stratagem in the fight phase when Adeptus Custodes unit from your army selected to fight until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack against a unit with a higher toughness characteristic than its own, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. The Adeptus Custodes unit contains 3 or fewer models. Their stratagem costs 1 CP, otherwise it's 2. Talons of the Emperor for 1 CP. Use a stratagem in any phase after shooting or fighting with a Custodes unit from your army. Select one friendly Anathema Psyker unit within 6 inches of it to the end of the phase. Each time model in that Psychonaut unit makes an attack, it's +1 to the hit roll. And then Purgation Sweep for 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase when a Witch Seeker's unit from your army is selected to shoot, or in your opponent's charge phase when a Witch Seeker's unit from your army is selected to fire Overwatch. At the end of that phase, +1 to the strength characteristic of Witch Seeker Flamers. So that's okay, +1 strength from the Flamers. Nothing too game breaking going on here, but some helpful stuff. Vigil Unending 2 CP for this one. Use a stratagem in the fight phase when a character model from your army that has not already been selected to fight this phase is destroyed. Do not remove that model from play, it can fight before it's removed. Great. Brilliant. Very, very good. I'm sure that's going to be used a fair bit. Wisdom of the Moritoi. 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your command phase. Select on Adeptus Custodes Dreadnought model from your army. To the start of your next command phase, that model gains either the Inspirational Warrior or the Aggressive Precision ability, as shown below. So, Inspirational Warrior is an aura. Whilst a friendly shield host core unit within 6 inches of this model, each time model that unit makes an attack, reroll hit rolls of 1. Or you can do reroll a 6-inch wound. So again, Echo and Space Marines, it makes sense because Custodian Space Marines sort of similar to a degree. Retribution of the Machine Spirit for 1 CP. So, Adeptus Custodes Machine Spirit model from your army. It's your top bracket for your profile. So fine, same as Space Marines. Indomitable Engines, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in any phase when Adeptus Custodes model or Psychonaut vehicle model from your army would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound. Just gives you 5+ for the pain, which is useful enough. Earning of a Name. So, 1 CP. Use a stratagem when an enemy character unit is destroyed as a result of a melee attack made by an Adeptus Custodes character model, excluding named characters from your army. Resolve one of the following for the Adeptus Custodes character unit. So, select one trait of a shield host fighting style that does not already have. At the end of the battle, that unit gains that trait in addition to any other fighting styles it has gained. Well, then you've got select one stance from one martial guitar. Until the end of the battle, the unit always benefits from that stance, even if a martial guitar is not active for your army. You can only use a stratagem on each Adeptus Custodes character unit from your army once, and you can't use a stratagem in a Crusade battle. So open the vaults for 1 CP. Use a stratagem before the battle when you're mustering your army. So it's an extra relic. Extra Warlord Trait for Emperor's Heroes, 1 CP. Again, same as the Space Marines. Victor of the Blood Games, 1 CP. Use a stratagem similar to Blood Angels, generating an additional Warlord Trait. And then Eternal Penitent, 1 CP. Use a stratagem before the battle when you're mustering your army. Select one Dreadnought from your army. So 1 CP will give you, this is interesting, your extra attack, your reroll charges for the unit. If you could already reroll charge rolls made for that unit, if it has the instruments, the Emperor's Wrath fighting style on page 56, add 1 to charge rolls made for that unit instead. You can use a stratagem once. Not bad. Fraternity of Heroes, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in the Heroic Intervention step of your opponent's charge phase. Select one Adeptus Custodes unit from your army. To the end of the phase, the unit is eligible to perform Heroic Intervention as if it were a character, and it's a 6-inch move, 5-inch vertically. Martial Discretion, 1 or 2 CP. Use this strategy in your command phase after selecting a task stance. To be active for your army, select one Adeptus Custodes unit from your army, then select one task stance that's not active for your army. So start of the next command phase, the unit benefits from that stance instead of the active task stances of your army. And then if it's 4 or few models, it's 1 CP, otherwise it's 2 CP. Indomitable Guardians for 1 CP. Use the strategy in the fight phase. After an enemy unit that has fought, select one Adeptus Custodes unit from your army that is in range of an objective marker and is eligible to fight. The unit fights next. Useful, if you can remember it during games. Unleash the Lions. This is familiar with the old book. 1 or 2 CP. Use this stratagem in your command phase. Select one Falmonaris Aggressor unit from your army that contains 2 or more models. Until the end of the battle, each model in that unit becomes its own unit. So here we go, split up. And it talks about Crusade Battles. If the Falmonaris Custodes unit contains 3 or fewer models, the stratagem costs 1 CP, otherwise it's 2. And then Shoulder the Mantle for 1 CP. Use the stratagem when your Warlord is destroyed. Select another Adeptus Custodes character model. She's just passing on the Warlord there. Maneuver and Fire 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your movement phase when Adeptus Custodes unit from your army that can fly falls back. To the end of the turn, that unit is eligible to shoot even though it fell back, so useful enough. And Desperation's Price for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your opponent's psychic phase when an enemy psychic unit of 18 of an Anathema Psychonaut infantry unit from your army suffers perils of the warp. The psychic unit suffers an additional D3 mortal wounds. Nice. Could be enough to kill them. The Emperor's Auspice now, 1 or 2 CP. Use the stratagem in any phase when Adeptus Custodes unit from your army is chosen as the target of an attack. At the end of that phase, each time attack is made against that unit, your opponent cannot reroll the hit roll, wound roll, or damage roll for that attack. If the Adeptus Custodes unit contains 4 or fewer models, the stratagem costs 1 CP, otherwise it's 2. And that's a very, very useful, really useful stratagem, that one. Chopping down, cutting down the ability to reroll wounds, hits, damage. Nice, really good. Only 1 CP, but maybe 2 if the unit's big enough. From Golden Light they come. Use your stratagem before the battle to declare reserves and transport step. Select one Adeptus Custodes infantry, biker, or dreadnought. They get their Golden Light they come ability. Empiric Severance 1 CP. Use your stratagem in your opponent's psychic phase after a psychic test is passed for an enemy psyker, and after any neither which attempt is made, if any. If that enemy psychic unit is an 18, then it's a 4+, the power's denied, so just shutting them down. That's Tom was running that in games, useful enough in the previous book. Creeping Dread 1 CP. Use your stratagem at the start of any phase. Select one Psychonaut infantry unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, that unit gains the following ability: Creeping Dread. It's an aura. Whilst an enemy unit is in 6 inches of this unit, each time a model in that enemy unit makes an attack, subtract 1 for the attack's hit roll. Rapid reactions. So when an enemy unit that was within engaged range of Adeptus Custodes infantry unit from your army that was just selected to move finishes a fallback move, that Adeptus Custodes infantry unit can shoot as if it were a shooting phase, but can only target that enemy unit. Ooh, so be careful if you're going to pull out there, they could get you with that shooting. Interesting. It's a good one, that one. I like that one. Emperor's Auspice is a good one. There's a few more. So Covered Advance. Use a stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase. When Adeptus Custodes Smokescreen, an Alpha Psychonaut Smokescreen unit from your army is selected as the target of an attack. So it's -1 to rolls, popping smoke. Tanglefoot Grenades is a stratagem. Use this stratagem at the start of the opponent's movement phase or charge phase. Select one enemy unit, excluding units that can fly within 12 and visible to Adeptus Custodes infantry unit from your army, and roll 1d6. If it is your opponent's movement phase, subtract an equivalent number of inches from the enemy unit's movement characteristic for this phase to a minimum of 0. If it is your opponent's charge phase, subtract 1 from the result from charge rolls made for that unit this phase to a minimum of 0. You can use this stratagem once. Teleport Homer. So you set those up on the battlefield in your own deployment zone, and then if enemy units come within range, you remove them from play, which just lets you relocate with Terminators, again similar to Space Marines. And then finally we've got Psych Out Grenades. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase when enough of a Psychonaut infantry unit from your army is selected to shoot. If the unit is not within engagement range of enemy units, roll 1d6 on 2+. Closest enemy flyer unit that's within 6 inches of and visible to your unit suffers perils of the war. Okay, so the stratagems. They seem okay. There's a couple in there that are really good, but they seem alright. So now you've got Captain Commander. So you can next to you're trying to configure your shield captain just to add in a few extra bits. You pay points for it here. So Master of the Stance is 25. We'll call them out actually as we go along, but we'll cover this next. So it's talking about upgrading a shield captain. So if your army's battle forged, and so on and so on, you can upgrade a shield captain model, excluding named characters from your army, to a captain commander. If you're playing a combat patrol, alright, so it's just there's limitations on it here. It's 1. If you're playing strike force or onslaught, you can upgrade 2. Each time you upgrade a shield captain model to a captain commander, select one of the appropriate captain commander abilities below for that model to gain. It doesn't mark power rating down here, but it just says power ratings increased by 1. If you're playing a match play game, it's points. Make a note on your roster. Each shield captain can only be upgraded once, just the usual common sense with that. And okay, yep. Okay, so alright, so there are limitations. Okay, so Guardian Shield Captain model only. Yep. Normal Guardian on foot basically. The other Shield Captain is the Alaris version, and then it's the Virtus Praetor, the bikers. So you can't, you're a little bit fixed as to which ones you can take. So Master of the Stances then is what you can take here. It's going to cost you 25 points. In your command phase, select one Adeptus Custodes core or character model within 6 inches of this model. To the start of your next command phase, the unit benefits from both stances of your current guitar. This model can only use this ability if every unit from your army has the Adeptus Custodes keyword, excluding Psychonaut, Agent of Imperium and unaligned units. Swift as the Eagle for 15 points. This model is eligible to declare a charge and turn in which it advanced. Potentially very, very helpful. I think it's worth 15 points for that. Inspirational Exemplar, add 3 inches to the range characteristic of this model's fighting. Inspirational Fighter ability, so a maximum of 12, it costs you 15 points. Then if you go for Alaris as your Captain Commander, Unstoppable Destroyer, sounds good. It costs you 10 points, that's the cheapest. Each time this model makes a pile or consolidation move, you get an extra inch. Oh, great, fantastic. And each time this model makes a piling move or heroic intervention move, it can move in any direction. And now that's the good bit. And you can do so even if it's already touching an enemy model. Nice. As long as it finishes the move within engaged range of enemy units. So you can swing around behind and all sorts of funny stuff going on with that. So that's pretty good. That's well worth 10 points, that one, for the Alaris. Yeah, you can pull out some clever tricks with that. Bane of Abominations. Each time this model makes a melee attack against a monster, vehicle or character, it's +1 to the wound roll. That's very, very useful. So that will cost you 15 points, not too bad. And then Defiant to the last, which is 20 points to this one. If this model has less than its starting number of wounds, more than half, add 1 to attack's characteristic. If it has less than half its wounds, it gets 2. Yes, okay. Okay, right, so Virtus Shield Captain model only. Fierce Conqueror, 15 points for this one. Each time this model is selected to fight after it piles in, if it's within 2 inches of 6 or more enemy models, then until that unit to fight is resolved, add 2 to the attack's characteristic of this model. Okay, and then Ceaseless Hunter. This model is eligible to declare a charge in the turn in which it fell back. Very helpful. 20 points for that one. And finally, Tip of the Spear, which will cost you 15 points. Each time this model makes an attack, if it made a charge move or performed a heroic intervention, you can reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1, which for Custodians is very useful actually. So there's some great ones in there. I think there's definitely some well worth some upgrades that are worth it. So on to your regular Warlord Traits. Some are fixed. Alea has to take Oblivion Knight, Trajan Valoris, Champion of the Imperium, Master of Martial Strategy, and Valerian, Peerless Warrior. So we'll call these out here. I'm just see if there's any limitations. No, so anyone can take them. So Master of Martial Strategy, is number 1. Whilst the Warlord is on the battlefield, each time you spend a command point to use a stratagem, roll 1d6 and a 5+, it's refunded. Excellent, excellent, very, very good. And then once per battle in your command phase, if units from your army are using the martial guitar ability, before selecting a guitar stance for your army, you can change the order of your martial guitars, i.e. primary, secondary or tertiary. Note this does not allow you to select a guitar stance more than once. Right, so you can tactical flexibility in harvesting command points. It's a good one. Champion of the Imperium. This Warlord is eligible to perform heroic intervention if it's within 6 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of enemy units. Each time this Warlord makes an heroic intervention move, it can move up to 6 inches, and then each time this Warlord makes an attack, you reroll the hit rolls. So again, pretty strong. These are strong Warlord traits here. Sometimes in some of the codexes they're almost like total waste of time, but these are 2 good ones. Superior Creation. It's a 5+ feel no pain. Nice. And then Impregnable Mind. In your opponent's psychic phase, this Warlord can attempt to deny the witch once if it were a psyker. Each time a deny the witch test is taken with this Warlord, add 1 to the result. The Warlord counts as 2 additional models when determining control and objective marker. This is cumulative of any other rules that count as additional models. Then Radiant Mantle. Each time an attack is made against this Warlord, it's -1 to the hit roll. And then Peerless Warrior. Each time this Warlord makes a melee attack, an unmodified wound roll of 6 inflicts a mortal wound on the target, in addition to any normal damage. And each time an attack is made by this Warlord, it's allocated to an enemy model. The saving throw cannot be re-rolled. Okay. So then there is Warlord traits also for the Anathema Psychonaut. There's 3 for them. So Oblivion Knight. This Warlord has the following ability: Oblivion Knight Aura. Add 1 to the advanced charge rolls made for Psychonaut infantry units whilst within 6 inches. And each time this Warlord makes an attack, re-roll wind rolls of 1. We've got Silent Judge, another Aura ability. Yeah. Whilst the enemy unit is within 3 inches of this Warlord, each time a combat attrition test is taken, it's -1 to the result, and the enemy unit loses the objective secured ability as well. And then finally, Mistress of Persecution. Whilst a friendly Anathema Psychonaut infantry unit is within 6 inches of this Warlord, each time model Psychonaut infantry unit makes an attack, the target does not receive the benefits of heavy or light cover against that attack, and add 3 inches to the range characteristic of ranged weapons models in that Psychonaut infantry unit are equipped to. So that, yeah, okay. So, Relics next. It's sort of 2 pages, sort of a page and a half of Relics going on here for the Adeptus Custodes. So, I'm not too blown away by what we're seeing here. It's okay. Nothing striking as particularly deadly. I'm sure there's some great combinations, but I think we'll get a more complete view when we look at the profiles for some of the models a bit later on, some of the units, to see how good they are and what their weapons can do and so on. But there's good supporting stuff here, but nothing that's like real dynamite at this stage. But there are some good bits. It's Eagle's Island, so we're looking at Relics here. It's an infantry model. Add 1 to the wounds characteristic of the bearer. Once for battle, before making a saving throw for the bearer can activate his Helm's Sensorium Geists. If it does so, then it's a 3+ in 1 save. Great. Eagle's Eye, fantastic. Extra wound, powerful, in 1 save. Next is Auric Aquilus. Biker model only. You can reroll charge rolls made for the bearer. If you could already reroll charge rolls, e.g. the bearer has the instruments of the Emperor's Wrath fighting style on page 56, add 1 to charge rolls made for the bearer instead. Any movement phase when the bearer is selected to move, it can boost. If it does so until the end of that phase, double its move characteristic. That's ridiculous. And it's not eligible to shoot or charge or declare this turn. Double your move. Next is Gatekeeper. Use model equipped with a Guardian Spear only. This relic replaces the Guardian Spear as the following profile. So the Gatekeeper is rapid fire 2, range 24, strength 5 -2, 2 damage, and in melee it's +2 strength -3 and 2 damage. Each time a ranged attack is made with this weapon, that attack automatically hits the target. Yeah. Auto hits. Nice. Gatekeeper's potent here. Relics are looking strong here. The Veiled Blade, so it replaces the Sentinel Blade. So for shooting, range 12, pistol 2, strength 4 -1 and 2 damage, and then in close combat, +1 strength, a -4 and 2 damage. You get 2 additional attacks with the weapon as well. Another good one, nice. The Obliteratum. No, the Obliteratum. It's a model equipped with a Blaster's Grenade Launcher. You instead get range 18, assault 1, strength 10, -4 and D3 +3 damage. Nice, really nice. And it's not one use only, you get it every turn. Ooh, nice. Good one. Falmonaris Aggressor. The Valex's Praetor model only. The bearer gains the following ability. It's Thor ability. While a friendly shield host core or character unit is within 6 inches of this model, and each time that model that unit make an attack, the target does not receive the benefits of heavy or light cover. And then Praetorian Plate. Add 1 to the bearer's toughness. Nice. Once per battle, in heroic intervention, set up your opponent's charge phase. If the bearer is not within engagement range of enemy units, it can perform heroic intervention. It can perform a teleport shunt. Remove the bearer from the battlefield and set him up 3 inches of a friendly unit, excluding vehicle units, and within engagement range of an enemy unit. If that is not possible, it cannot perform the teleport shunt. The bearer cannot perform a heroic intervention in the same turn in which it performs a teleport shunt. And then Celestine's Mark. Start the first battle round, you can select up to 2 friendly shield host units, remove those units from the battlefield, so you just redeploy. And then Wrath Angelus. Vaxilis Praetor model only. Once per battle in your command phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, select 1 point on the battlefield and place a marker on that point. At the start of your next command phase, roll 1d6 for each unit within 6 inches of the centre of that marker, adding 1 to the unit being rolled for. At the start, or at the... so adding 1 to the unit being rolled for is within 3 of the centre of the objective marker, and subtracting 1 if the unit being rolled for is a character. On 2 to 5, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 6+, the unit suffers D6 mortal wounds. The marker is then removed. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we've got relics here as well for the... We've got relics here for these also, so there's 3 of them. So the Raptor Blade. So this it replaces the Executioner Great Blade. So you're looking at +3 strength, -4 and 2 damage, not bad. The Excruciatus Flamer, range 12, assault 6. Whoa, that's a good one. Range 12, assault 6, strength 6, -3 and 1 damage. And it also hits against the target as well. You get 6 hits straight away. And strength 6. That's a really good flame, that one. Enhanced Void Sheen Cloak. The bearer has a 4+ invulnerable save. And each time an attack is made against the bearer, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll and wound roll. Powerful. God, good one. Okay, so on to chapter approved rules. We'll get the book out here to see what we're lining up and comparing against. So we're looking for something that's going to fit what you're trying to do with Adeptus Custodes. Just durability, close combat strength, I'd imagine, is the route you want to go. Okay, so no motion, no respite. So you're looking at no prisoners, grind them down to the last, so I don't usually take from that at all. So, Might of Terror. Score 4 victory points at the end of the battle round if 1 or more enemy units were destroyed this battle round and no Adeptus Custodes units from your army were destroyed. So just survive and kill 2. But a fair amount of pressure attached to that one, and to get 12 points, you've got to pull it off 3 times. Destroy an enemy unit. Keep 2 alive. No, keep none. Make it so that none of yours are slain. It's difficult, that one. Next, Battlefield Supremacy. So engage on fronts, which is a pretty solid one. Behind enemy lines and stranglehold. Or you can go for stand vigil. Score 3 points at the end of the battle round if you control more objective markers that are not within either player's deployment zone than your opponent does. So no man's land objectives, controlling more of those. Again, it's putting you under pressure. Not sure about that one. And then finally, purge the enemy. So that's your assassination, Titan Hunter, and bring it down. All 3 of those pretty good. or Immortalis then. If you select this objective, then before the battle you must select one unit from your army that has the Primarch or Supreme Commander keyword to be marked for death. If no such unit exists, select one unit from your opponent's army with the highest points value to be marked for death. Aircraft units are ignored when selecting a unit to be marked for death. At the end of the battle, calculate how many victory points to a minimum of 0. You score this objective as follows. So, you get 5 points if the unit you selected to be marked for death was destroyed. You get 5 points if you were destroyed as a result of a melee attack made by an Adeptus Custodes or Psychonaut unit from your army. And you get 5 victory points if both of the above are true and the unit you selected to be marked for death was destroyed more than 6 inches away from your deployment zone. And then minus 2 points for each unit from your army that the unit you selected to be marked for death destroyed. So if they are tough and they start killing units, it's minuses. Okay. Just not blown away too much by those. They seem alright. So that's chapter approved. We've got a lovely piece of artwork on a double page. Then we're on to Crusade. I don't really do Crusade, so we'll skip through this section. All the way through here. I'll show you the pages. So Crusade looking something like this. Vipers. Got a name generator. A army showcase. And then we're on to the data sheets. Okay, so we've got for data sheets here, just talk about keywords. Then abilities, so Aegis of the Emperor. Models in this unit have a 4+ in 1 save. So it looks like they've kept the 4+ in 1 save across the board. Each time model in this unit would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound. You've got your 6+ feel no pain, so that's there as well. You've got Daughters of the Abyss. This unit cannot be targeted or affected by psychic powers. Each time a psychic test is taken for unit, subtract 1 from the total. For each unit of this ability of an 18 to a maximum of -3. So they really help to shut down psychic powers. And each time an attack is made by model in this unit targets an enemy psyker or demon within 6 inches of it, add 1 to that attack's wound roll. Then we've got Golden Light. During deployment, if every model in this unit has this ability, then you can set it up in a teleportarium chamber. So you've got your deep strike ability, landing 9 inches or more, or just over 9 inches away from enemy models. And then we've gone through this here, this very simple rules here, the martial guitar, covered all of that. Right, so on to units. So we're expecting here is deadlier weapons, more wounds, tougher, and then we'll check to see what kind of special abilities are going on here as well. So Trajan Valoris is, I'm just going to pick out some of the main stuff here. So you can expect weapon skill, ballistic skill across the board as 2+ pretty much for this book. Strength 5, toughness 5. He's got 8 wounds. He's built like a tank. 6 attacks as base. Leadership 11. I thought it was up to 10. Oh, learn something new every day. Leadership 11. Is that? Were they leadership 11 before? I don't think I've seen that. Okay, nothing to get too hung up on. I doubt he's ever going to be running away, but leadership 11 for him. I think it's across the board here. These are all leadership 11 as well. So he's got the Watcher's Axe, the Misericordia, and so the Watcher's Axe then for shooting. We've covered this. No, we've covered the relics, I suppose. So range 24, rapid fire 1, strength 5, -1, 2 damage. So everything's been pushed up to 2 damage here. The Misericordia is strength for the user -2 and 1 damage. You get an extra attack with that weapon. And the Watcher's Axe is ×2 strength, so he fights at strength 10, -3, 3 damage, no minuses to hit rolls, and that's 6 attacks. So yeah, he could hack down a tank, he really could. He's got Aegis of the Emperor, Martial Guitar as standard. He's got a 5+ feel no pain for Adamantium Mantle. He's Captain General. If your army's battleforged, this model must be your army's warlord. If more than one model from your army has a rule to this effect, then one of those models must be your army's warlord. If this model is your warlord, and every unit from your army is Adeptus Custodes, exclude Anathema, Psychonaut, an agent of the Imperium and unaligned. You receive an additional command point, and this model gains 2 Warlord Traits instead of 1. And those are fixed, those have already been called those out earlier on. It's a legendary commander, it's an aura ability. Whilst a friendly Adeptus Custodes Codex within 6 inches of this model, each time model that unit makes attack, you can reroll a hit roll and a wound roll of 1. And you've got Moment Shackle. Once per battle, you can do one of the following. So at the end of the fight phase, if this model is within engagement range of enemy units, it can fight again. Fantastic. When a saving throw is failed for this model, the damage characteristic of that attack is changed to 0. So just ignoring that one that comes through. So you're picking either of these. And then the third option, after an enemy unit has fought, this model is eligible to fight. You can fight with it next. I'd take the fight twice, but it's not fixed for the game. You pick as and when you need it, so it's flexible enough. But Trajan's a tank here, deadly, and some pretty good abilities. Fine, great. Your standard shield captain is still a base of 6 attacks, which is excellent, and 7 wounds on this guy. We'll cover some of the standard weapons just to cover them now. So the Ceaseless Axe, range 24, rapid fire 1, strength 4, -1, 2 damage. The Guardian Spear for shooting, same profile. Yeah. Sentinel Blade for shooting, pistol 2, strength 4, -1, 2 damage. Then the Ceaseless Axe in melee is +3 strength, -2 and 2 damage. The Guardian Spear in melee is +2 strength, -3 and 2 damage. Misericordia we've covered. Sentinel Blade is +1 strength, -3 and 2 damage. He's got a Presidium Shield, so +1 to armor saving throws made for the bearer. So he's on 2+ with a +1. So effectively ignores AP -1, I guess. The Guardian Spear just gives you the options you can take. And an Inspirational Fighter. So Shield Host core unit within 6 inches can reroll hit roll of 1. Yeah, cross reroll hit rolls of 1. Okay, and then Shield Captain in Alaris. So that's going to get you, again, base of 6 attacks, 8 wounds on this guy. Still movement 6, you're not slowed down by the size of them. Same ability, reroll hit rolls of 1. And from Golden Lights, you get your deep strike ability of them. Cool. And the Shield Captain on the Dawn Eagle jet bike, 9 wounds, toughness 6, extra toughness, 6 attacks base, a standard 14-inch move. So, some of the weapons here, usual rules for the Hurricane Bolter, and then Salvo Launcher, range 24, heavy 1, strength 8 -4, D3 plus 3 damage. So, taking out the randomness there, between 4 and 6 damage with the Salvo Launchers. The Interceptor Lance is +2 strength, 8 -3 and 2 damage. Each time the bearer makes an attack with this weapon, if it made a charge move or performed a intervention this turn, add 1 to attack's wound rolls, so +1 to wound rolls. And you're fighting at strength 7, yeah, okay. Ooh, right, okay. A little bit tame. Because you're stuck at strength 7, so you plough into a Land Raider or something, and you're 5 swing and you get +1 to that roll. Oh, I don't know. Okay, and then yeah, so that's that standard weapon. That's fine. And then you've got your real hit rolls of 1 for Inspirational Fighter, and you've got Implacable Vanguard as well, which is if you advance, it's a guaranteed 6-inch move. Okay. So then they've got the new model here that's only just recently come out, the Blade Champion. So single infantry model, but he's actually got 7 wounds with him and a base of 6 attacks. He's equipped with Volt Swords. So each time an attack is made with this weapon, we'll come back to that. We'll just give you a little, I'll not call it all the points, but I'll give you a generous flavour. So the Blade Champion that we're looking at the moment is 110 points. It's probably quite cheap compared to the others. The Shield Captain's 110. The Presidium Shield's 10 points. Misericordia's 5. The Alaris Terminator version is 125 points, 5 points to Misericordia. The Captain Dawn Eagle Jetbike is 170 points, ouch. Misericordia 5 points, Salvo Launcher 5 points. Trajan Valoris is 170 points. Yeah. Okay. So you got these swords here. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, select one of the profiles below to make that attack with. So you can go for Behemoth, which is +2 strength, -4, 2 damage. Each time attack is made with this weapon profile against a monster or vehicle, a modified hit roll of 4+ automatically wounds the target. Okay, and then Hurricanis, strength for the user, which is strength 5 -1 1 damage, but you get 2 hit rolls instead of 1, so you get 12 attacks. Or you can go for Victus, which is +1 strength -4 but 3 damage. If you're going against a character, you can reroll your wounds, and that's particularly vicious. He'll hack characters down quite efficiently, I'd imagine. Yeah, pretty good. So that Blade Champion is pretty cool. Pretty cheap as well. So I think it's worth the points just for that profile. But now we've got some extras here as well. So Consummate Swordsman. Each time melee attack is made against this model, a modified roll of 1 to 3 always fails. And each time melee attack is allocated to this model, it's add 1 to the armor saving throw. Right. Well, fine. Great. It's martial inspiration. Each time a friendly shield host unit declares a charge against an enemy unit that is within engagement range of this unit, add 1 to the charge roll made for that unit. And then Legacy of Combat. At the start of the fight phase, if this model is within engagement range of enemy units, it can fight first this phase. Fantastic. This model is eligible to perform a rogue intervention. It's within 6 inches, and you can move up to 6 inches to do that. Fighting first, tons of attacks, multiple sword options, and 1 to 3 always fails to wound him in melee. He's great with 110 points. It's as if they're trying to sell you the model. No, if I was going Custodes, I would get the new model. The rules are great. Wouldn't expect him to save the world, but he's pretty good. Very cool. Okay, then we've got Valerian here. So Valerian is 140 points. So you got 7 wounds, 6 attacks again. Everything's 6 attacks at the moment. So equipped with Gnosis and Misericordia. So Gnosis for shooting is range, it's no different to usual profile. Range 24, rapid fire 1, strength 4, -1, 2 damage. Then in melee it's +2 strength, -4 and 2 damage. Each time attack is made with this weapon allocated to an enemy model, that enemy model cannot use any rules to ignore the wounds it loses. Okay, so things like feel no pain and so on just negates all that. Got the Misericordia, Inspirational Fighter, so a host, shield host core unit within 6 inches, can reroll hit rolls of 1. It's like a mini captain almost. Hero of the Lion's Gate, each time attack is made against this model, it's 1 to 3 always fails. Again, that rule comes up. And once per battle, you can reroll a single hit roll, wound roll, charge roll, or saving throw made for this model. Sorry, once per battle round. So it's every turn, and that's particularly helpful. Valerian seems pretty good. What about Alea? She is 75 points. Okay. Strength 3, toughness 3, 5 wounds, 5 attacks for her, 3 up save. She's equipped with a Somnus, +3 strength, so she fights at strength 6, which is pretty good. AP -3 and 2 damage. Got the Misericordia as well. Daughters of the Abyss. So then Cadre Tactics, whilst the friendly Anathema Psychonaut core unit is in 6 inches, you can reroll wound rolls of 1. 5+ in 1 to save her. Tenacious Spirit, at the start of the fight phase, if this model is in engaged range of enemy units, it fights first. That fight again, it's the shutdown going on there and fighting first. In addition, if this model is destroyed in the fight phase before it's been selected to fight, then it can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making its attacks. Then you remove from play. Nice. So what you got here is a Knight Centurious, another HQ choice. So you've actually got 8 HQs to choose from. So Knight Centurion, 50 points, and 5 points for Execution, a Great Blade. So they have created, well, they've given you a cheaper HQ to go for. What you're looking at here is you're still keeping your weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, 5 wounds, 4 attacks. It's equipped with an Executioner Great Blade, which is +2 strength, -3 and 2 damage. You You can take a mastercrafted bolt gun, rapid fire 1, strength 4, -1, 2 damage, or the Witch Seeker Flamer, which is assault d6, strength 12, range 12, assault d6, strength 4, -1, 1 damage, auto hits on the target. That's not that scary. 5 in 1 save, and Psychonaut units can reroll wind rolls of 1 within 6 inches. This is the cheap HQ, don't expect too much from her. So really, I don't think there's too much to cover with these. You've got Custodian Guard, you can go units of 3 to 10. They will cost you 45 points each. You do have to pay 3 points for your Misericordias if you want them, and the Presidium Shield is 5 points. So any number of models are not... Oh, okay. Any number of models can have their Guardian Spear replaced with 1 Sentinel Blade and Presidium Shield. Any number of models that are not equipped with Presidium Shield can be equipped with a Misericordia. You can't take Misericordias if you have the shields. I think it's pretty much the same structure as the previous book. We've covered all the rules there, and then your baseline is 3 wounds, 3 attacks. Nothing else has really changed. Prosecutors, 3 up save, 1 wound each, equipped with bolt guns. Custodian Wardens, just give you points here. Prosecutors are 12 points each. And then Wardens, I've heard these have got better. They're 50 points each and 3 points for your Misericordia. So you've got the same profile but 4 attacks of these, an extra attack over and above a Custodian Guard. Units of 3 to 10. You've got units of between 5 and 10 for the Prosecutors. So we've covered all the weapons. So we'll just go straight on to there. Any number of models can replace their spears with the axes. Any number of models can take Misericordias. So binding oaths. Each time model of this unit would lose a wound, it's a 6 up, feel no pain. I think they had that in the previous book. And then watch, and whilst a friendly shield host character unit is in 3 inches of this unit, enemy units cannot target that character with ranged weapons. So they are a decent bodyguard as well. So that's cool. You've got your HQ choice and you have some wardens stand near them. Cool. Alaris Custodians, really 4 wounds each, 4 attacks base. The special rule for these is Slayers of Tyrants. Each time this unit piles in and consolidates, each model in the unit can move towards an enemy character model instead of the closest enemy model, as long as 1 or more models from that unit finish that move in engagement range of the enemy character model. A little quirky thing with the rules. The Praetor. Yeah, we'll check to see what the banners do. And that's about it. Got 6 wounds on these, 4 attacks. The Alaris Custodians are 65 points a time with 3 points through Misericordia. The Vexillus Praetor is at 105 points, and that's it. Nothing else to pay. So the banner then, the Vexilla Defensor. So the bearer has the following aura ability. Whilst the friendly shield host core or character unit within 6 inches, it has the benefits of light cover. So, yeah. Better in previous editions when you had your whole army sort of clustered together, but now it's more fragmented units having to head out in all directions, so that can help a bit. But a lot of units are not going to want to be near that. They're going to be pushing out to take objectives and so on. Vexillus Imperius. The bearer has the following ability, which is an aura. Whilst a friendly host core or shield host character unit within 6 inches, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of each model in the unit. So yes, good. And then Vexilla Magnifica. The bearer has the following ability. Whilst a friendly shield host core character in 6 inches, it has the benefits of dense cover. Okay. Here's a character model. Yes, you can maybe put some traits and relics on them to make them good. Only base of 4 attacks though. So your army can only include each type of Vexilla once. Fair enough. You got the Vexillus Praetor here. Same benefits of the banner, you're just putting it on an Alaris Terminator model. Okay. 115 points, and you do pay 5 points this time for the Misericordia. And that's about it. Got your Venerable Contempt to Dreadnought. So 155 points fixed. These things have 9 wounds now, 9-inch moves, they're not too slow. Weapon skill plus 2+, toughness 7, 5 attacks as base, 2 up save. Got a automatic shielding, 5 up invuln save, do explode. Unyielding ancient, 6+ feel no pain, and then -1 damage, same as other dreadnoughts. That's all good news. Equipped with combi bolter, multi-melter dreadnought combat weapon, and that dreadnought close combat weapon is ×2 strength, so it's fighting at strength 14, which is brilliant. 8 -3 and 3 damage, no minus to hit rolls. This model's multi-melter can be replaced with a Carey's pattern assault cannon, which is heavy 6 strength, 7 -1 1 damage, and then your multi-melter usual rules for that. So yeah, not bad, tough enough. Vigilators next. 14 points per model, units of 5 to 10, 2 attacks base. The sword is +2 strength, -3 and 2 damage. That's it. Virtus Praetors, the bikers then. Your extra toughness, you're on toughness 6, 14-inch move, 5 wounds. I think they were 4 previously, so they've got themselves an extra wound, I believe, and then 4 attacks as base. We've seen the Interceptor Lance. It's okay, but not too scary. Yeah, okay, it's alright. And you guarantee 6-inch advance of those. So the cost of these is 85 points each. Misericordia is an extra 3, and to make them 90 points each if you go for the salvo launcher. 90 points a time. They're well worth looking after on the battlefield. You got Witch Seekers. For fast attack, 14 points each with the Witch Seeker Flamer, which is AP -1, auto hits, range 12. And yeah, so this is transport. Oh, I see. At the start of the first battle round, before this first turn begins, this unit or the Anathema Psychonaut Transports embarked and can make a normal move up to 6 inches as if it were your movement phase. Just get an initial move with those. And then you've got, call these out here, you've got Land Raider, Venerable Land Raider, with your 6 up feel no pain, and a Rhino, which doesn't get the feel no pain. I don't think there's much need to call out the points values for them. So that is it. That's the review for the Adeptus Custodes. So it's in a general improvement on the profiles, and can't see any problem with the units as they sit. That's fine. It's Warlord Traits, stratagems, all seem decent enough. Nothing that's really mind-blowing, I don't think, but seem pretty solid. And then your generals seem pretty good as well. But it's just my take. But I think Games Workshop have really complicated that ability thing that they have. Is just too much. Why oh why was it made so? The Marshal Qatar. I'll let Tom explain it to me when he when he gets his head around it. But there is certainly some explaining to do with that one. So which is a shame, because I'm looking for the codexes are getting more and more complicated, and so it's a bit of a shot themselves in the foot really with that one by making it quite a complicated thing to grasp. I'm sure it'll work fine once you get your head around it, but your initial impression of that is it's way too complicated compared to what it could have been. But other than that, codex looks okay. Leave your own comments and suggestions. Surely it's an improvement, but by how much and what chance do these stand against the other factions, we'll have to see. Check out Goblin Gaming, link for them in the video description below for discount 40k, and a wide range of other stuff available from them as well. Keep a lookout for more reviews on the channel. Thanks for watching, and tune in